And I am standing beside my brand new truck. Not quite brand new. It has about 600 miles on it now, probably close to 700, but when I picked it up from the dealership, it had, I think, 5, maybe 6. And, you know, I told you guys I'd make a video about this thing, and I'm going to be talking specifically in this video about why I decided to purchase a new truck as opposed to a used one. The main reason was it was cheaper. Now, you think when I say this was cheaper than buying a used truck, you know, I'm saying, oh, well, you know, it's the new body style, so higher resale value plus this, that. No, I'm not. I mean, this literally cost me fewer dollars from day one than purchasing a used truck. So I decided I was going to upgrade to this truck. This is an F350, you know, 1-ton, single rear wheel, 4x4, 6.7. You know, truck. The reason why I decided to upgrade to this is what I drove previously was my 2013 F-150 with the 3.5 liter EcoBoost engine. Absolutely loved it. It was a wonderful truck. That engine had more than enough power for a lot more towing, quite frankly, than the rest of the truck could do. But there were a few things on my mind. You know, it's anytime you put more than about 6,000 or 8,000 pounds behind that truck, it was a tail wagging the dog kind of situation. You know, the truck itself, like I said, it had the power to do it, but the rigidity in the frame, not so much. The suspension, definitely not. And the braking and steering, if everything wasn't perfect on the trailer, not as solid as I would have liked for it to have been. So combine that with the fact it was outside of warranty, and you know, I was thinking to myself, man, you know, if I pull 8,000 pounds with this thing, and you know, and it kills the transmission, it's under warranty, you know, it should be fine because that's well under what the truck was rated to pull. But now, not so much. I'm gonna have to pay for that, and it's not gonna be cheap. Also, you know, I plan to start a family in the coming future, so I really wanted the crew cab, and I figured, you know, this truck, ultimately I am gonna outgrow it, and it's just gonna depreciate more and more every year. So I decided to make the move to this thing. Now, when I was first looking around for diesel trucks, I wasn't going to buy new, I was going to buy used, and that's when I discovered that the used truck market is just absolutely screwed right now. You know, I don't claim to understand exactly why, but, you know, I'll put it to you this way. This truck, and I'm a little hesitant to put out prices like this, and normally I don't, because, you know, everybody on YouTube is, if you're talking about automotive stuff, they're all suddenly a mechanic, and now I know everybody's going to be, you know, a new car salesman for Ford or whatever. But this truck, brand new, with like 5 miles on it, cost me under 50 grand out the door, so I really can't complain too much. And like I said, this is not, you know, a bare bones, you know, cheapest Super Duty in the lineup. We're talking 6.7 diesel, 4x4 crew cab, 8-foot bed, you know, electronic locking rear axle, power windows, mirrors, locks, that type of thing. On a side note, as a fun fact, you can actually buy one of these trucks, this new generation Super Duty, without power windows or locks. I know this because the configuration of this vehicle, you know, the XL trim, basically the longest truck that Ford makes, like this, maybe some of the cabin chassis are longer, but crew cabin, 8-foot bed, you know, and the XL trim with the diesel and the 4x4, it's a fairly hard to find combination. They are out there. You can certainly find them. You might have to call a couple dealers or whatever, but, you know, the dealer I went to is probably 10 acres or so of new trucks, and they had 2 of them. This, and then one just like it was red and did not have power windows or locks or anything along those lines. And I was like, all right, this is nice, but I don't think I want to go this purely utilitarian. But anyway, not to ramble too much here, why did I end up purchasing this thing new? Well, you know, I was looking at new trucks, like I said, well under 50 grand for this beautiful thing out the door. And you know, the dealers that I was talking to, and all the looking I found on Craigslist, I figured there's basically 3 categories of used trucks out there, used diesel trucks exactly. There are, and this is what I was looking most at because, you know, obviously I didn't want anything with a bunch of, you know, frivolous stuff and ridiculous wheels and sunroofs and, you know, all sorts of finicky stuff I'm going to have to fix in 10 years. The main category that I was looking at is used work trucks. Now, when I say used, I mean used. We're talking like 1 to 200,000 miles on these things, body damage, destroyed beds, trashed interiors. You can tell these trucks, they're probably coming out of the oil field. You know, some of them fall under the category of like hotshot trucks or something, so they have a huge amount of miles, and they're all highway miles, like everything on Craigslist. And, you know, that I would have been more likely to consider versus like an oil field truck or an old farm truck or something. But these things, you could tell they had lived a hard life. and you look at the cost of replacing a 6.7 diesel engine, and it's up there. We're talking like $10,000+ and then the cost of having this put in and all the frivolous, you know, and all the other stuff that has to go on, and then the fact that you're going to be without your truck for like weeks as the engine comes in and the, you know, your mechanic swaps it out, or you do, or whatever. So yeah, first category, used work trucks. Just plain and simple, beat the crap, lived hard lives, questionable maintenance. It's just, I wasn't willing to take a chance on anything like those. And even if I was, I found one that was really nice. It was like 15 or 16. It was the older body style, but it looked like, it actually did look like it had been taken care of. This thing had a little over 100,000 miles, I think, and the guy wanted like, you know, 37, 38 grand for this thing. And it was basically this, except, you know, it was white and, like I said, the old body style, and 100,000+ miles. It did look like it had been well taken care of, but I was like, man, if I'm spending that much, I'm just going to spend like another, you know, 9 grand roughly and get a brand new one with 5 miles on it. And I know everything that's happened to it. You know, it cost almost as much as new. And like I said, well over 100,000 miles on this thing. The second category is the one which I was even less willing to take a chance on than the used work trucks, and that is the much nicer, you know, in terms of trim levels and everything, for lack of a better term, show-off trucks. Now, I know I'm probably going to catch some flack for this, and rightfully so, but here's the thing, you know, I realize there's a lot of people who don't, you know, straight up abuse their vehicles, don't run tuners set to kill on them, you know, and they maintain them properly and they don't beat on them, you know, treat them like they should, and they just happen to want different rims or, you know, different exhaust system or whatever. I understand that. The problem is a lot of people who are into all of the aforementioned, you know, aftermarket stuff, the like waist-high wheels and the tuners and everything, they like to show off for people. This is why they spend the money to put these on to put these things on their trucks. And the other part of that is, since they like to show off for people, these are the types of folks who, you know, drag race their trucks, who do, you know, truck tugs where you know, hitch them end to end and, you know, pedal to the floor type of thing. You know, these types of things. And this is, I wasn't willing to take a chance with this, because you don't actually know what these trucks have been through. You don't know how well they've been taken care of. And like I said, these people just like to show off. So a lot of them will do very stupid things with these vehicles in the name of doing so. And if you're going to buy a used pickup off of Craigslist or something, you have no way to know if it's coming from someone who just straight up did not care, did everything for the lulz, you know, no mercy on the vehicle whatsoever, or from someone who, you know, like I said, they maintained it, they didn't abuse it, they just thought, you know, the aftermarket wheels were cool or whatever. You don't actually know what you're getting. And, you know, if you talk to these people, I'm sure pretty much all of them will tell you, oh, you know, I only use the mild settings on the tuner. Oh, I totally never drag race this thing, you know, whatever. But the reality is, if you buy one of those trucks and they actually did push it a little too far, so you have like, you know, a bent rod in the engine or something along those lines, maybe you don't notice, there's pretty much nothing you can do. Now, you can say, oh, I can take people, you know, to court and sue them and this, that. In theory, yes, but in 2017 in the US, and I say this being probably a little bit jaded from the only real small claims court experience I've ever had, in which I tried to sue a former renter that I was renting a house with. They just straight up walked out on their lease like halfway through, tried to get 5-6 grand out of them. What happened with this is that the municipality I was in, Austin, Texas, did literally nothing at all. Paid all my fees, paid them to serve them whatsoever. They made no attempt whatsoever that I was aware of to ever contact this person. And then a year or so later, they sent me a nice message which said, hey, nothing ever got done on your case, so we're just going to drop it unless you pay us a whole bunch more money. So, you know, this was kind of a hard experience, learning that if you get the short end of the stick on something like that, and your plan of action is just to, you know, take someone to your local court or whatever, basically one of two things is going to happen. One, and this is by far the most likely, you never see a single dime of whatsoever of whatever you think should be coming to you. Even if you win the case or whatever, what happens is the judge doesn't say, you take out your wallet, write a check for $11,000 for a new engine because you blatantly lied about the condition of yours to this person here. They award you a judgment, and then it costs you a lot of time and money to collect on if you ever do, which brings us to point number 2. You actually do see something, but it's, you know, it's basically, it's not worth your time, essentially. So that was my thing. You know, essentially, applying this to used vehicle purchases, what you get is what you get. And if it finds out you get the short end of the stick, if you find out it was misrepresented or whatever, unless you're willing to spend probably tens of thousands of dollars on attorney fees and actually do everything all out, you're basically getting nothing. So I really wasn't willing to take that chance on, you know, something which had a questionable history for that reason alone. And like I said, a lot of the vehicles set up to kind of show off things. You just plain and simple do not know. There's a lot of stupid things which people do with those vehicles, and you don't know what you're getting. The third category of used truck is what's his name, Bill at powerstrokehelp.com, who makes great videos. I watched a whole bunch, pretty much all his 6.7 liter videos before I bought this thing. What he refers to, and I'm going to use his definition because I can't come up with a better one, as dinosaurs. We're talking like the old 7.3 trucks, you know, out of the 90s, or like up to 04, I believe it was. The problem with these trucks is they're really friggin' old. And, you know, if you're going to buy one off of Craigslist or something, you don't know where that truck's been. You know, that truck, you know, 2004 to 2017, that's like 13 years old. So even if you buy the last 7.3 Power Stroke off the line, that thing has been running around the countryside for 13 years at this point. 13 years of questionable maintenance, of questionable things, maybe being used over capacity. You know, it's just, there's a lot that could happen to an engine in 13 years, let alone if you're buying one out of the 90s. You know, if I would have considered a used truck if it was from someone that I know, like, you know, relative, you know, they bought it a few years ago, you know, they want something newer, whatever, that type of thing, or even a little old man, like, you know, there's a little old man in my neighborhood, or, you know, goes to my church or whatever, and he's finally selling his old 90s pickup that he took good care of. Yeah, I would consider that. But the reality is, you know, if you're, whatever your favorite, you know, online classified site is, there's a good chance anything with a 7.3 in it, it's been passed around to like 3, 4, 5, 10 different owners. You know, it's been in all different states. It's done more things than you could probably ever imagine. And like I said, it is an old friggin' engine at this point. And this leaves aside all the different factors, like, for instance, this thing is actually quiet enough you can hear your phone ring when you're driving it, and it puts out a lot more power and a lot more torque than the old 7.3s. And the other thing is, and I understand the 7.3 is a great engine, I feel like, just like the 5.9 Cummins, a lot of people really put these on a pedestal a little too much. What I mean by that is a buddy of mine drives an older 7.3, and he's constantly working on this thing. Why is that? It's not because the 7.3 is a bad engine. It's just because the one he had lived a very hard life and probably didn't see the world's greatest maintenance, and now that he owns it, his problem. And that's what I mean. Yes, the 7.3, you know, it's evidently a great engine. I don't doubt that. But the thing is, if it's, in this case, 13 plus years old and hasn't been maintained very well, you're still going to have problems with it. You're still going to have to fix this thing. And the other thing is, you know, I just, you know, I occasionally do have to pick up, you know, customers and go to dinners and things like that. I don't need the flashiest vehicle in the world for doing this, but I can't do that in a 20-year-old farm truck, you know, that kind of thing. So for all of these reasons combined, I decided that new was the better option of the two. And not only that, when I started looking around, I figured out this truck, now that you guys know approximately what it cost less than most of the used trucks on the lot. You know, one dealer I went to, I told him I wanted a black truck, because I did. I learned to drive in one. You know, everybody knows black trucks go faster. So, so I wanted a black truck. And I really wasn't going to settle for anything until I started shopping dealers and found one that could get me this dark gray truck for $3,000 less. I figured for $3,000 less, I'll settle for dark gray. But, you know, this dealer, they were exploring their options with me, and they sent me a listing for it was like a 2016 Lariat for 55 or 56 or 57 grand sticker price. He said I could get you this for like basically about 5 grand more than I paid for this one brand new. This thing had like 50,000-60,000 miles on it. I mean, for a used truck, it really wasn't that bad of a, you know, truck. But like I said, 5 or 6 grand more than this thing brand new. Yeah, I couldn't do it. So yeah, these are just kind of my ramblings for the day. You know, I guess this video makes 2 points. A lot of people will say, you know, you can't buy all these new diesel pickups, man. They're like 60, 70, 80 grand. Because yes, we've all seen the very nice ones, but you know, that's, like I said, that's for the very nice ones. If you know even just a few things about, you know, negotiating vehicle prices and everything, and I'll make a video about how exactly I went through this, hoping that it'll help someone out in the future, then, you know, they're really, and you don't want, you know, the Lariat or the Platinum or the Premium or whatever they call it this week, you really don't have to spend nearly that much money on things like this. You know, I remember thinking when I figured out approximately what this upgrade was going to cost me, you know, after trading in my old truck and everything. And, you know, I kind of slept on this. I rolled it around in my head for a few days, and I remember one day I was sitting behind a, you know, it was a Lexus SUV. It was like a medium-sized SUV, and I was like, man, you know, here I am thinking, you know, I could actually use this in my business for towing things. I'm going to need the crew cab, you know, for some kids in a little while, that sort of thing. And, you know, this is really only going to cost me, you know, however much it was after my trade-in and everything. And I'm looking at this SUV, and it's like, man, that's like an $80,000 SUV most likely. And so, you know, that, like I said, that really helped me to put things into comparison here. And so, like I said, for whatever it's worth, my 2 cents on this are the used truck market is absolutely screwed right now, especially for diesels. And, you know, basically, I would have paid more than new for a used one and known nothing about it. Or, you know, I would have paid like 75 or 80% as much for a used one. And like I told you guys, that thing had like 100,000+ miles on it already, so I figured why not spend the extra 20%, most or all of which I'll probably get back someday when I sell this thing, because it's the new body style, and you know, and have something with 5 miles instead of 100+. So, all right, yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more. I'm going to talk a little bit in my next video that I filmed, don't know what order they'll post, about you know, how I went about this, getting a better price than anybody who just walked into their local dealer and walked out with something that day. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more.